What's going on, you beautiful people? I just wanted to stop by real quick before this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Klauser. It's literally the same name. Guys, it's literally the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
Oh, yeah! Fucking hate! Fuck you! Fuck you, Pittsburgh! Seriously, dude! Fuck this shit, bro! You know that fucking Baker Mayfield do this shit to you, bro? What the fuck? Go 11-0! 11-0 and you fucking do this shit! Are you fucking kidding me? You fucking piece of shit! Fuck this shit! Fuck!
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Klauser.
All right. What is going on? How are you guys? It is a new episode of The John Show. This is episode 46. Yes. Of this wonderful thing that I call my solo show. I'm your host, John D. Klauser. Welcome. If you are a returning guest, I want to say thank you so much for returning and spending a little bit of your time here, because I know you have a lot of other things you could be doing, but you choose to spend a little bit, just a small little portion of your time, of your life, with me every week. And if you're new, because I just happened to scroll through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or something like that, and you saw like, oh, who's this John D. Klauser guy? Let's check him out. Let's see his he does little videos. Let's see his podcast and see what he can do there. So we're here on a new episode, like I said. I hope you guys are doing well. It is today, January 11th. It's like the first full week of, or I guess what are we talking about? The first full week of, second week of, January. I'm sorry guys, I totally blanked out there because I was trying to think. I'm trying to do a segue leading into what the first subject was going to be, and so I instead of just going into it, I was just let me try to be all sweet and cute and mess it all up. So it's been kind of a crazy last couple of days, don't you think? Days. I love how my voice has already gone out twice already, but it was funny because when I was starting this podcast, I looked and I was like, oh man, it is 10 minutes till 10 o'clock on Monday night, and I'm I need to get this podcast up and going because I need to still edit this and color code it and everything like that. So by the time when you see this right now, it'll be January the 12th, and I have spent a good part of my night editing this and color coding it and doing all that great, beautiful stuff that is the fun part of doing this. This is great, editing or talking and doing all the lighting, all that stuff. But doing all the back end stuff is a lot of fun too, because that's where you can really get a lot of good money doing this film stuff if you get really good at it. It's my big thing. This is my big thing. I'm putting a pin on the first thing we're talking about, and we'll go back to it. But one of the biggest things, I was talking to a friend about this, how I absolutely do not ever want to do wedding videos or wedding pictures. I've been asked so many times to do that, and every time I do it, I just kind of no, I can't. I just don't do that. I didn't go to film school to eventually just do pictures for weddings or videos for weddings, because I just I know it's good money. I realize it's pretty good money, and you can make a decent living off it. It's that's not what I want. I'd rather do a bullshit job and then do more of my short film stuff than do all this wedding bullshit, because I just for me, it's not even doing the video stuff is hard. It's none of that's hard. It's I don't want to know that there's so much pressure, because this is supposed to be someone's perfect day. This is the day they've been thinking about their entire life, one of the big moments in their life, and I just don't want to be part of it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just don't really want to be there. I don't want to see it. I don't feel, because I don't have the same the same want as you do, and so because of that, like it's just so much pressure on me that I don't want to deal with. So I just refuse to do those kind of projects. It's one of those things, and I keep realizing I was like looking over at the screen, and that's the bad thing. You would think that like I've done this 46 times that I've learned like John, you need to just look into the screen. Or not into the screen, but into the lens, and just talking to there. See how much different it is when I'm talking to you now versus how I was just talking to you where I was like slightly looking over to your side. Because it annoys me. It annoys me even when I talk to people in person. It's like, I hate it. I hate making eye contact. I don't like, it's not fun for me. It's kind of, because I've always been one of those kind of people that have never really enjoyed that. Because it's like, I'm like, oh, like, why are you judging me? And that's an internal thing. And that's the thing that I personally need to grow up and get over. But until then, I'm here. And so it's like one of those. So if I don't like it in person, I can't not do the same thing in my video stuff. It's just it's just one of those things. But anyway, so what I was trying to get at, what are we at? I guess one of the big first things that I always start this podcast off with is like, it's what, day 2,559 of COVID. It's so funny right now. So if you're not American and you're not, so if you're not American right now, it's a really odd time because really like COVID is kind of taking a little bit of a back seat to what has just happened a couple of days ago. Or I guess, if you don't know what I was talking about, how the last couple of days have been kind of crazy, how I know it's not a coup, but it was just a cult. I don't know what else to call it at this point that stormed the Capitol building. It's just super insane to me that this even occurred. In a million years, I never thought that I would ever see some bullshit like that again. I would never see some bullshit like that ever. It's so weird to me, and how I look at it might be a little bit different than most Americans have a look at it because I'm foreign as well. So technically, tomorrow, the 12th, will be It is my anniversary, I believe my 20th anniversary of becoming an American citizen. And so my point of view of how I look at all this stuff is the fact that like I came here from another country to have a better life. And I was lucky enough to have a better life, to get adopted and to be able to have the American dream, have the opportunity to be able to come up to bat and and take my turn. And so I have that kind of mindset of looking at all this. And what I saw was it was terrifying. It was horrific. And it made me so sad. It's made me so sad to see that we have gotten this far, that I like just 4 years ago, we had a black president and we had him for 8 years. And I thought we were making so many better steps in life. And, like I was seeing so many more interracial dating, like I was in an interracial relationship. Like, I date, black women, Latino women, like, and I'm Latin and Egyptian. And so like, I was seeing all these different things, all these like, white people dating black people, like black people dating Indian people, like white people dating Indian people, white people dating Middle Eastern people dating white people. I was Asian people. Like I was seeing all this stuff, and I thought the world was becoming better. I really did. I thought we were becoming more of a mature culture. And then you see this president, and I was never a big fan of him. And I know, and I still respect him. I don't know now, and that's the bad thing too. Is that the fact that like, he's my president, and so I should respect this man, and I should have a sense of feeling that this man is bigger than I, and he's going to lead all of us to a bigger, better version of who we are. But when you see a guy who basically amped up a group of his followers, and his followers at this point seem like it's some sort of cult. And because that's the only thing you saw there. You saw people with these Trump flags, and you saw them storming the building, and then you saw them like, like it's all like white people this and white people that, and like, and it made me sad to not just because of that. It made me sad because I'm just sitting there looking at this and being like, guys, if if we were in another country and you were pulling this shit, like you'd all be dead. You'd be all be just shot down and killed. The government would have just came in and killed you. Like I came from a country called Honduras. I don't know if you know that, and it's third world. It's poor. Like 65% of the country is underneath the poverty level, and it's a banana republic. And if there was some sort of thing like that, a group of like people of Hondurans came into their Capitol building and started doing that shit, they would just mow them down. There'd be no questions asked. There'd be little hesitation. And the fact that there was like no cops, they just let them go and just do it. And I'm not saying that there's some conspiracy theory. I'm not here to talk to you about that. That is what it is. If you want to think like that, you can think like that. Or you can just be like, hey, this is a fucked up thing that should not be happening. As Americans, like we should be above this. We've already done this. We had a revolution. We got our independence from England, so we didn't have to deal with. So we didn't have bullshit like this, and we should be above this. And it's horrific to see, and it's not fun to watch as an American, especially as like a foreigner who came here. And it's like I came here because I had the idea that, once we become, if you become an American citizen, then you can have all the same rights as Americans, and you can have that dream. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you came from, as long as you have like a hard work ethic, you can be whatever you want. And it's just so hard seeing this and seeing a president who has now split everyone up. People are so just torn and only want to be with this. There are certain people and they don't want to go outside those certain people. And when you hear someone of Trump or you see a Trump flag, you automatically have a certain level of feeling of what this is and what this represents. And it's not good. You don't see it representing America. You just see it representing a group of people who have nothing but hatred. Or like a shortcoming of understanding like of what other people are out there, and they only want their people. They want to build walls, and they want to, they want to have like all lives matter, not Black Lives Matter, and it's just gross. And then it's gross to have other countries see it. Like other people are watching this around the world, and especially as a foreigner person, like they look, and like I talk to these other foreign people, especially other foreign people that live in these other countries, and they're like, "What the fuck are you guys doing, man? Like you guys are looking really dumb." And plus, if there's somebody who really wanted to attack us and wanted to do harm to us, this would be a good time to do it. Do it when the country's weak on the inside from their own doing, not because of like doing from the outside. It's like we have a cancer that's within right now. And that's what's causing this. And it's sad. And like, I want to hope and I pray and I want to say that maybe that Biden coming in will do something. It might help a bit, maybe. Because it's just, right now, it is just horrific here to see this. And it's sad. Because I feel sad for my other fellow Americans, because I feel bad. I also feel bad for, white people. I feel bad for Black people. I feel for Latinos people. I feel for Asian people. I feel for Indian people. I feel Native American people, everyone that's here. And everyone else I forgot as well. Because, like, we all feel scared. We're all scared, and we're all, like, on edge in a weird way, because, like, white people are on edge of Black people. Black people on edge of white people. And Latino people are scared of, like, white people. And we're all like, we all have these like this certain idea of who we are without knowing each other, and it's awful. And if we have any sort of feelings that are outside of what we feel, if we don't hit these certain check marks, like then we automatically just write this person off, and we just think this person's awful and is not, and we just try to like cancel them, and we just try to shoot them down and like bring them down, and it's sad. It's just, I don't know any way else to say it. It's just sad because as a foreigner and as someone who came here and just wanted to have the American dream, it makes me feel bad for everyone that also has to do this. But it also makes me like, I'm like, yeah, welcome to the world. This is how everyone else can feel. This is how you teeter-totter on this line of being a democracy and a sense of like being freedom, and versus like just we can easily just it can all go up in smokes really fast if we don't play our cards right. And none of this is guaranteed. None of this is guaranteed that we're always going to be this civilized culture. None of that. We just automatically assume that it's going to happen. And clearly, look, it's not right. It's not a good it's not a good mindset where we're going down. It's not pretty. It's not cute. It's not funny anymore. And maybe with Trump leaving office in a week and a half now, that maybe it will be a turning point for all of us, and we can kind of just be able to look at this and understand that this was just an ugly part of our life, and we can get through the pandemic and we can become better. Like, we're gonna be better at this. Like, no matter what, we're Americans. Like, it's just what it is. It is what it is on that. Like, we're relentless, we're hard-headed, and we get shit done. We always have, we always will. And that's the reason why we're number one. And I maybe we're up there. Maybe I should say number one because that makes it sound elite. And I don't want to sound elite. Because, I wasn't even born here. So I can only be so elite. You know what I mean? But I do have my citizenship thing here. That is cool. And I love it. Like, this was like one of the happiest days of my life, becoming an American citizen. And the fact that, on the 12th, January 12th, every year, I get to celebrate that being something cool. Because, I don't know, you guys, a lot of people, like, if you're born in America, you don't understand how lucky you are of how just, like, these rights and a lot of these simple things that you just take for granted of being able to talk and without any worry. You can just, like, as long as you, like, pay your taxes, save a little bit of money, maybe get lucky in the stock market, like, you can have a crazy awesome life. You can live awesome. Like, we have this thing called credit, and we can work on, if you are good with it, you can live off of it. It's awesome. And a lot of other countries don't have these things. And one of the coolest things is, like, when I look at this, I am always reminded of how my life could have been a lot different, and how lucky I am to be an American citizen, and how lucky I am to be here in America. And you should also be, and you also should feel lucky to be an American and to have the 4th of July and eat hamburgers and French fries and hot dogs and get to have Christmas and have snow and, a Christmas tree and family and presents like that. And it's all free, and it's all because, people have died for it. But our ancestors died for that. I guess technically not mine, but, our forefathers. I should say forefathers and ancestors. Either way. Man, I feel like I've talked about this thing the whole time. But, yeah, it's just, it's a sad time. And I always feel like, maybe it's just, you should talk about it. If that's what it is, it is. If it kind of runs over, it runs over. But that's how I feel. That's me as a foreign person. And, yeah, we're going to do better. We always do better. Like, I remember when I first moved to the States, and it was kind of scary for me, but things got better. Society changed. People changed. The idea of what Latinos are changed. That was back, like, when, like, people really didn't know what Latino people were. It was great. It was an interesting time when I first came to the States. Very interesting. But what else can I talk about? I should probably acknowledge why I have this on, shouldn't I? So if y'all know, like I said, I'm from Honduras. Well, my mom's Honduran. My dad is Egyptian, and he's Greek. So, but anyway, he lives in the States. My mom, she lived in Honduras. My dad lived all over the world. He's lived in Egypt at some time. He's lived in Portugal. He's lived in Greece. He has lived in Utah. What else? He lived in Las Vegas, and now he lives in New Mexico. So, anyway, apparently his new girlfriend, he's not dating the stripper girlfriend anymore. Hallelujah. Good for my dad. But this is my bio father. This is about my bio father. This is why I have this. And this tie thing that makes it look like I'm wearing it looks like I'm wearing a prayer robe. Like I'm about to go to the synagogue and do a prayer with a bunch of other Jews. But anyway, so he was doing, like, I guess they were doing a cross-country trip, just driving, because they bought a new car. And when he was coming back, because they got it over on the East Coast. They live in New Mexico right now, so they what they did was they rented a car. They drove it over up to, I believe, I want to say Boston, New England area. I don't know, Boston. It might have been, I don't know, Boston, or what was it? He said it was by Boston. It was like some town by Boston. Anyway, I don't know. I didn't buy. So he was coming back and he like messaged me. He was like, "Hey John, you want me to stop by? I'd like to see you, because I know your birthday was just right on the 1st, and so I'd like to see you now." I'm like, "Okay, that's awesome." So we we went and I met up with him, and we ended up eating some takeout at his apartment. I guess not his apartment, but I get his hotel. He rented this really nice room at the Westin, and I was like, okay. We were eating, and he was like, I got you something because I know your birthday was on the 1st. I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm like, you totally didn't have to do that, but that's really cool. Like I've known this guy for a couple years, like 3 years, coming on 3 years now. So like the fact that he remembered my birthday, which is a crazy thing to say about your father. You never thought that you'd say like the man who made you was like half of, like 50% of what making you would be like, oh yeah, I remembered your birthday. So I'm going to tell you happy birthday, and I got you a gift. So he had this little, it was this tie, and it was, folded, and it was wrapped up in like wrapping paper. So I took it out, and it was a tie. And if you can see, it is just like, it's like a baseball bat with a glove and a baseball. But what's interesting about this tie is that there's a signature on the baseball, on the white part right here. And I was like, what is that name? Why is there like a marker? Because it just looks like scribbles. I don't know if you can really see it all that well. And he's like, I got this. No, John, let me tell you the story. I got this tie because I was playing golf with one of my friends, and he had one of his other friends that was meeting us there, which he ended up being at one time the head coach for the minor league baseball team in New Mexico. And I'm like, okay. And so I had him autograph this tie that was in the back seat of my truck, and here it is, because I thought you would like it, because I know you played baseball in college. I didn't play baseball in college. And I'm like, Dad, I didn't play baseball in college. He's like, you didn't? I thought you told me you played baseball in college. I'm like, no, that might have been one of your other sons that you had, with another woman. And he's like, maybe. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, all right, Dad. I'm like, well, I want to say thank you for the tie, but now I have a tie that was signed by formerly one of the minor league baseball team for New Mexico, for Albuquerque, New Mexico. My dad, he got this for me. That was his birthday gift to me. I mean, it is what it is. I'm like, so who is it? He's like, I can't remember. I'm like, you can't remember the guy's name? I'm like, I don't remember the guy's name. I'm like, great. That's awesome. So I have this tie now that's going to sit up here, and it's going to be added to the group of other things that sit up on my desk. So, welcome. And that's the story of why I had that tie here, because my dad is an idiot, and he got some random guy he played golf with who used to coach baseball for a baseball team to sign a tie that he had in the back seat of his truck that was just sitting in the back seat of his truck, which is great. Because he thought that I played baseball in college, which I didn't play baseball in college. I didn't at all. I hate baseball. I think it's the most boring sport in the world. It's not fun at all. But it is the thought that counts, and the fact that I was like, in my mind when he was telling me this, I'm like, I'm going to be able to use this for something. This is going to be a great story for something, because only me would have something like this happen. It would be so awesome. Like, you're having a moment with your father who you've only known for 3 years of your whole entire life, and he finally bought you a gift for your birthday, and he gets you he gets you a tie that's signed by some random ass Momo. But it's hilarious. It's such a funny story. So almost the fact that he gave me this story is almost better than the gift because it's a twofer. It's a twofer for sure. But that's my life. This is what happens in my life, guys. I tell you this, and I tell you this to tell you this other story. So if you know me, I will ask you random questions as a friend. I'll be like, what's the favorite chair you've ever sat in? I'll ask you something like that. Or I'll ask you, if you could have any like condiment like that could come out of your nipples, what would it be? Something like that. Or, one of my great go-tos is like, if you could snort, would you rather snort a line of dandruff or would you rather smoke a bowl of fingernail clippings? Something random. I just ask you random questions because I think it's funny. Maybe see what your idea is, like what your thought is on that. Like maybe some people don't like it and they get mad. Other people think it's hilarious. Well, there's a new person at my job and I did this to them and I went up to him and I was like, hey man, I'm like, what's your favorite toe on your foot? And he's like, my first one. And he like kind of gave me this weird look and I was like, okay, like that's weird. And he like the vibe to him though was like really off. And I was like, okay, he seems really mad. I'm like, I don't understand why he's kind of be like, what the fuck you asking me this, you dickhead kind of vibe. I'm like, okay. So I just, the day went on and I was talking to one of the other line cooks and I was talking to him and I was like, hey, I'm like, why is like, I was talking to like, his name's not Jeremy, but Jeremy will be his name for this scenario of the story. And I'm like, I was talking to Jeremy and I asked him like, what his favorite toe was on his feet. And then he got really, it seemed like he got kind of pissed off that I asked him that. I'm like, I thought it was just kind of a stupid, like dumb question to ask, like just silly question. And she's like, dude, like, like the reason why he kind of like shuffles his feet. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, like that is because like he only has 3 toes, 2 on like, I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, he only has like 3 toes. And so he probably thinks you're making fun of him. I'm like, go fuck yourself. And I'm like, so think about that. Out of all the silly questions I could have asked somebody, I asked him like, what's your favorite toe on your feet? And this person just happens to only have 3 toes on their fucking feet. That is by far one of the greatest and the most normal things that happen to me all the time. All the time. Weird things like that happen to me all the time. That's my life. For sure. So, crazy, right? I know. So, I have about 2 minutes and 18 seconds left. And, if you've been watching football, this is going to be a small little like football thing, is that I really do believe this. Last year I got a gift from one of my friends and then he gave me this this twin little cup thing of like the Cleveland Browns. And I thought it was so funny. And so I'm like, fuck it, dude, I have to like keep this on my desk. I'm like, that's such an awesome thing. Well, if you guys know this, the Cleveland Browns pretty much cleaned house last night on the fucking Steelers. And they're moving on and they're going to play the Chiefs in the next round of the playoffs, in the second round of the playoffs. So, but my thing is like Browns. I think you guys need to, maybe give me some tickets for the next game because this has been on my desk every episode and every game that you guys play this year. And because of that, you guys are in the second round of the playoffs. So, what I think is that like I'm kind of like your good luck charm here. I'm the reason why this thing doesn't move at all. That's the first time me picking up and putting it down. That's the first time I've touched this thing and moved it in months, ever since the football season started. So I really do believe, guys, that I'm the reason why you guys are doing so good. But football season is here, guys. COVID is here, guys. We're living life large. The Capitol building might get stormed again. We might get another building. Thank God it didn't get burned down. That's the greatest fucking thing, is that it just didn't get burned down. But I want to say thank you guys so much for listening. If you have gotten this far, I want to say thank you guys so much. Like, comment, and subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. That'd be really awesome, guys. Just give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for listening. We are here. We'll get through this. We'll do better. Have fun. Another great week. 2021, right? Can't get any crazier. Every week, it gets crazier and crazier. But Be safe. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.